Okay, I'm looking here at my mind map notes about male genital mutilation in Australia. MGM, male genital mutilation, which is a violent, barbaric sexual assault, well, upon a minor. If adults over 18 can do whatever they like, can't they? Excuse me. Now, the present Sex Discrimination Commissioner is Elizabeth Broderick. Her term ends in August. Excuse me. In a couple of weeks' time. Her use-by date, her shelf life will be up, finally. Unless she does another term, well, I suppose that would be possible. I don't know who the new Sex Discrimination Commissioner will be. The question that immediately springs to mind is, will it be a male or a female? Now, we know from looking at the behaviour of past Sex Discrimination Commissioners, there's been a whole string of them, from Quentin Bryce, Prue Goward, was it Susan Halliday? I don't know the whole string. You can look it up online. And the present one is Elizabeth Broderick. Now, as far as I can see, I don't know that any of those women, they've all been women, have effectively spoken up in defense of male genital integrity. If you know that they have, I'd like to know about it. But yes, will the new Sex Discrimination Commissioner be a man or a woman? I suppose if it were a man, a circumcised man, it could be one in denial, I suppose, a man in denial who will not speak out in favour of genital integrity. That would be possible. But the likelihood of it being a man is, well, it's not very likely, is it, that it's going to be a man? I make the point that the Sex Discrimination Commissioner at the Australian Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission is not a women's commissioner. She or he is not meant to be a women's commissioner. If it were a women's commissioner, it would be called a women's commissioner. It's a sex discrimination commissioner, and that means they're supposed to defend both sexes. Yes, if there were a man elected as the appointed as the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, that could be a problem if he was pro-circumcision and did nothing. Now, let's look a little further at Elizabeth Broderick, the present Sex Discrimination Commissioner. A bio online says, one of the newspapers online, is it the Australian or Sydney Morning Herald or something, says she has two sisters, one of which is a twin sister. Apparently both sisters are doctors of medicine. One is a professor of medicine at Sydney University. Now, yes, there's also another professor of medicine at Sydney University. His name's Brian Morris. He's a member of the Gilgal Society. I don't know what, yes, well, he's pro-circumcision, of course. But, yes, just back to Broderick. One would think that if her sisters were both doctors of medicine, professors of medicine, whatever, that she would be more informed about male genital integrity as a human right. You'd think so, but I suppose it's possible that, like Gilgal member Professor Brian J. Morris, she could come from a pro-male circumcision background. I suppose it's possible. And one can't help but wonder what Broderick's own son's condition is, whether he was able to maintain his genital integrity, or not. I can't know. I don't know about that, but I do wonder, if she hasn't spoken up for genital integrity for all Australian boys. I mean, she does have a tongue in her head, doesn't she? Tongue in her head, that's something. Even if she were not empowered to, do anything to change the laws in Australia, she at least has a tongue in her head and could speak up for the genital integrity of boys. I should hope she would speak up for the genital integrity of her own son and all other Australian boys, but I can't know. Perhaps she comes from a pro-circumcision background. Yes, read her bios online. As far as I'm concerned, she should know better anyway, that she should speak up for boys' genital integrity, especially if she comes from a family where she's got educated doctors as sisters. Still, I don't know everything, do I? I don't. She failed to speak up for boys and their genital integrity. Only a couple Only a couple of months ago, Brian J. Morris, that professor of medicine and a member of the Gilgal Society, and his group of experts came out recommending mandatory circumcision, male genital mutilation for all boys. They did. It was in the papers. And as I said in a previous video, I didn't hear Elizabeth Broderick speaking up for the genital integrity of Australian boys. She had her tongue in her head, but remained silent, apparently. If you know about her speaking up for genital integrity of Australian boys, I would like to know about it. Yes, a whole string of sex discrimination commissioners that did nothing since the Sex Discrimination Commissioner was set up. As far as I'm concerned, they did nothing to defend male genital integrity. They always spoke out for for female genital integrity, as I've said in other videos on this matter. Now back to Brian J. Morris for a moment, from Sydney University, the professor. He's a member of the Gilgal Society. Incidentally, only a couple of months ago, the head of the Gilgal Society was arrested for child pornography. He's a circumfetishist. That's someone who gets their kicks out of, yes, the head of is a circumfetishist. I'm not saying Brian J. Morris is a circumfetishist. The head of the Gilgal Society, a known circumfetishist, was arrested in Croydon in Britain for child pornography and put on a bond. What does Gilgal Society mean? I think it might be Hebrew for Hill of Burning Foreskins. Well, I've lost my foreskin, and I don't feel happy about it. I have a botched circumcision. That was, a violent and barbaric sexual assault upon my person as a helpless child. I have to live with that for my entire life. Now, I don't think there's anything much more I can say, really. I'll just be looking forward to a new Sex Discrimination Commissioner and hope it is someone with a tongue in their head that will be brave and valiant enough to speak up for male genital integrity. Yes, no one else has done so at the Human Rights Commission, to my knowledge, at the Sex Discrimination Commissioner's office. If you know about it, tell me. Please post a video response to this video, because I'd like to hear your opinions too on male genital mutilation in Australia. It's interesting, in Canada, where they have laws similar to the Australian female genital mutilation laws to protect girls for female genital integrity. In Canadian law, if you go overseas, if you take your little girl overseas and to have her genitally mutilated and then bring her back, you will be charged. I don't know if the Australian law protecting little girls will put you in jail or charge you on your arrival back if you go overseas to genitally mutilate your little girl and bring her back to Australia. I'm not sure about that, but if that is the case, it should be made the case that if it's male circumcision is ever banned in Australia, if you take your little boy overseas to have him genitally mutilated and then bring him back, then you should be given the same treatment as people who genitally mutilate little girls. Girls should be given. That's all I've got to say. Bye for now. Please think about this matter, because it's very important. It's not nice to be genitally mutilated, and it is for life. You lose what? So I've lost 75 to 80% of the most sensitive nervous tissue on my penis. It's gone forever. I can't get it back.